Hey everybody, and welcome back. We are in week 2 of a series that is examining some of the biggest things that are holding people back in and outside of the gym from accomplishing the things that will lead them to their goals. And one of the biggest things that is holding people back is fear. So in this series, we're examining all types of different fears, but today's Mindset Reps is going to concentrate on just one of those fears, and that is the fear of perfectionism. Perfectionism being, I have to be perfect or it has to be perfect. Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm a firefighter, a therapist, a fitness and resiliency coach, bringing you weekly tips and tricks to help you transform your mindset one rep at a time. So today, what I want to talk to you about is one of the fears that I often see holding people back from practicing a skill, starting or completing a task, attending a training, or even going after some of the goals that they have set for themselves in their life. So for example, maybe you're avoiding going for that promotion, and that the fear behind it is perfectionism. Either it needs to be perfect or I need to be perfect. So I see this often times in the gym, and there are also some examples in the fire service. So in the fire service, there are a lot of skills that we have to be really competent on. We have a lot of things that we need to be able to be good at in order to be the best that we can at our craft. But what if I am only practicing the things that I am really good at? So I only practice throwing ladders because I feel really confident about throwing ladders and it makes me feel good to be doing this. This is pretty common, right? A lot of us, we like to practice the things that we're really good at because it makes us feel good about ourselves, and we will often avoid practicing some of the things that we aren't as confident in because it makes us feel like we have some improvement or some work to do. But in order for me to be the best firefighter that I can actually be, I need to practice all of the different skills, specifically the ones that I maybe am not as competent in, because that's going to end up making me better in the long run and reach my goal of being the best firefighter that I can be, right? We also see this in the gym too. If you're looking to be the best athlete that you can be, and let's say you're even training to go to the CrossFit Games, or you're an athlete that's training to go to the Olympics, it is so important that you practice the things that aren't in your wheelhouse, some of the things that we struggle with, right? But oftentimes what I see as athletes is that they'll do what we call cherry pick the workouts, which is that they'll show up for the workouts with the things that they're really good at or they really like doing in a workout, and then they will avoid workouts where there maybe is a skill that they're not as confident in. And oftentimes this stems from worrying about what other people are going to think about them if they're not perfect. And oftentimes we have these unrealistic expectations of ourselves that we have to be perfect at something, even if we haven't ever tried it before, or we're comparing ourselves to our coaches or to our trainers, that we need to be able to perform things just like them, even if it's a skill or something that we haven't ever tried before. But if you think about this is actually really unrealistic. We end up setting these really high standards for ourselves of perfectionism. Perfectionists often set unreachable goals for themselves. And this can be a dangerous cycle, right? Because if you're setting unrealistic goals for yourself that you are going to be perfect, you have to be perfect, or what you're doing needs to be perfect before you're able to turn it in, it's probably unrealistic and you're not going to be able to accomplish that. And when you don't, it ends up leading to feelings of insecurity and doubt, because we're setting ourselves up for something that we weren't able to accomplish in the first place. For some of this may have been learned really early in life, that we feel like people valued us because of how much that we had achieved. And therefore we are trying to find value in ourselves by seeking constant approval for others or doing things really, really well. It's putting a lot of weight on external standards rather than our own standards. Or maybe we're equating fear of failure with our lack of value or self-worth. But the reality is that mistakes help us to learn and to grow. Oftentimes we perceive that success has come easy to others, but in reality, that's not the case. Your coach has spent plenty of hours making plenty of mistakes and practicing different skills in order to be proficient and be where they are. Michael Jordan is one of the best basketball players that ever lived. But did you know that he didn't make his high school basketball team? He was cut. Matt Frazier has won the CrossFit Games 5 times in a row. But in 2015, he came in second place. Something at the time, for him, he probably saw as a failure because he didn't end up obtaining the goal that he wanted to at that point in time of being number 1 in the world. But it taught him important lessons and training opportunities that he knew he could implement in order to be better the following years and to become number 1 5 years in a row. So if you're struggling with feeling like you need to be perfect or that what you're doing, the task that you need to do has to be perfect, here are some things that you can do. The first one is to challenge some of that irrational thinking that you have. Does it make sense to be perfect at this, especially if you haven't ever done it before? Perfectionism is unobtainable. Be realistic with what you actually can accomplish. Are you expecting to be perfect on the first try? Or do you know that you're going to learn some things and it's going to take time in order to get you to be where you want to be? And another one is to just start. Sometimes I see people put off even starting a task because they're worried that they're going to make a mistake. I know that this is something that was really common for me when I was in school as an art major. Getting my bachelor's degree is oftentimes I wouldn't start an art project because I'd be worried that I was going to make a mistake and that it wasn't going to turn out perfect and that maybe I'd have to start over. But once I started the project, I was usually able to kind of get in that flow state and be able to get through it and create something really cool. So just start. And ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What is the worst that can happen? If you go into the gym and it's a movement that you don't really like or a skill that you're not very confident in, what is the worst that can happen from you showing up that day? And the reality is that you're probably going to get better at that skill and that you are probably going to feel really good once you have finished the workout because exercise has so many awesome benefits for us. So let's stop putting so much pressure on ourselves that we need to be perfect. Because if we're looking for perfectionism, we're never going to get to the place that we want to be. Instead, let's look at our failures as learning opportunities that are great for helping us learn and to achieve our goals. So I'm going to challenge you this week as what one of my mentors, Grace Lever, always says is go out and make massive imperfect action. Do something big. Don't expect it to be perfect, but what you will get is results. We'll see you next week with Mindset Reps.